Hey guys, today I'm going to quickly show you how to add motion to shots that don't have any motion. As you can see here, all the clips in my timeline currently don't have any motion. The camera was sitting on a tripod. When I was out in the field, I decided that I was just going to add the motion in post, as I didn't have time to set up dolly tracks or a slider. So here is the shots with the motion. You can add a little bit of motion. I wouldn't say to add too much because what you are doing is you are actually scaling in on your shot, which does take away from the sharpness of a clip. Depending on how you're going to output, you may see little to no effect. If you are outputting to, let's say, something like the internet, there's going to be a lot of compression that goes on anyway, so the sharpness of the raw footage doesn't matter. If you are going down from, let's say, 4K or 2K or maybe even 1080 down to something smaller, like let's say 1080 down to 720, you won't see too much difference with the sharpness when you're scaling in. Just remember, you don't want to overdo it. And how you go about that is you come up here to the effects control, and normally this is actually closed, but you want to open up motion. And the first thing you can do is you can scale in your shot. As we see in here, the first shot that I have, we're actually scaling in. It almost looks like a dolly shot. What we did there is we just simply made a keyframe, and I'll do this real quick to show you. Is you come up here, and let's say this is off. You click this little toggle to start up keyframes for the scale. And let's say I want to start it at 100%, and then we'll go all the way down to the end of it, and then I want to choose something different. So we can do, like, let's say I initially had it at 105. So we can take a look at this, and it's not much, but it definitely sells the effect as if I'm sitting on a dolly. The next shot that we had here is I actually wanted to move, let's see, which way am I going? Right to left. Okay. I just simply can't make it right to left, because if I just go right to left, I'm actually pulling the shot off screen, and obviously you don't want that. So what I had to do is I had to first decide how much motion I wanted in the shot, take it to the end of it, and then add the amount. I came up with 108. Will enable me not to have any sides of the shot showing. For this one, because it is static throughout the whole shot, you do not have to set keyframes. You only have to set keyframes on parameters that are continuously changing. So let's take this off as if I never did this, and let's come to the beginning of the timeline where we want this to start. Okay, and then we're going to move the frame around to wherever we wanted it. I actually remember this shot quite well. I actually went to the end of it, and I started with the end frame just because I wanted this to be sort of centered. So I started just about there, and then I made my first one. Then we're going to come back to the beginning, and we want to add a little bit of movement. So once you move this, it's already adding the keyframe. You don't have to click this, but you can click it to add the keyframe. And then once you're on a keyframe, you can go back and forth. Once you're on a keyframe, if you're on the keyframe, you can move it around and it'll change that keyframe. If you're not on a keyframe, you'll get this little empty symbol, which is to add or remove. It'll add another keyframe. So if you see that, don't try moving this, because it'll just add another keyframe. Where the easiest way to go about it is using these little going forward and back to the different keyframes. So we're gonna go back to this, and let's make sure I had something that I like. Yeah, that's good. And that's the same way with just about everything. With this one, it's just starting in close with the scale up a little bit, and then as you can see here, we're scaling out. You may notice that there's a warp stabilize on here just because the initial frame had a little wobble in it, because I must have bumped the tripod there. And I don't know if you noticed when you first watched it, you actually didn't see that, adding warp stabilizer. Just remember when you add warp stabilizer to always use small amounts. You don't need much, and I actually opted for no motion just because the camera is sitting on a tripod. But as you can see here, you see little to no motion at all. There was a little bit in the trees, but you really can't see much more than that. So yeah, that's pretty much how you add motion to shots that don't have any motion, and then you can go all the way to color correcting it. So there you go. Hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one, guys.